Hello, everyone, and welcome to My Spiritual Money RX. This is your host, Vivian S. D. Guzman, the #1 money magnet activator. And some people call me human MRI, as I'm also a medical intuitive. So today we are going to talk about how to make money doing what you love. Why is that the topic? Well, as you know, this is a spiritual money show. So we know that you are where you are in life. Sometimes we think about what's our history, where's our family, who is our family, where do we belong, right? And now when you go out into the world and make your mark and start making money, somehow, some of the programs, some of the messages that we've learned as we were growing up is so hardly embedded or hardwired into our brain and into our beingness that we forget to come out of our own shell and identify the genius that we truly are. And that is our intention here today, is for you to know who you really are on the inside, not just how people look at you, but really when you're truly living your authentic self, you'll be surprised that money can come to you with ease, grace, and flow. So today we have our TWI team joining us because we are here to share with you some of the special nuggets that we've learned over our course in our lifetime, right? And what does it mean manifesting money in such a quantum leap, sometimes beyond the level of our consciousness? Like we don't even recognize what's happening, but we're here to put it to you in words, how to make money doing what you love. So let us all welcome Vienna Dunham. And this is our emotion code practitioner, by the way, who really loves to explain to us, well, what emotions show up when we're making money, right? Or when we're not making money.
Exactly. Those are important too.
And Chris Ternate, she is our geek genius, the master of our funnels and, you know, how we do things at TWI. Welcome, Chris. Welcome
Hello.
to our show. Wow. All right, guys. So today we're going to share with people, maybe share a little bit of a money story that's really resonating with you. Like, how did you figure out that money wasn't really hard to make to begin with? It's like money is energy, right? And people, there's a lie that's being disseminated that money was really hard. I was like, really? I don't understand it. But anyway, who wants to go first?
Rock, paper, scissors.
Okay.
Go first. I can go first.
Okay, so let me put you on the front seat here. Okay, go ahead, Chris.
All right, so money, right? My parents told me to go to school, graduate, have a really good job, and retire, and then take care of them. So that was the path. And growing up thinking that money is being traded with the hours that I spent. So if I spent 80 hours per week, I get so-and-so money, right? But 80 hours is way too much. I mean, working 8 hours straight is so much toll on my body. It was kind of crazy. And then I got to a path where entrepreneurship, where I learned that it's about your worth and your value correlates to money, not with time and money. So
what do you exchange in the world, right? Like it's almost like a bartering system.
Yeah, I mean, not that, not that trading time for money is bad, but it is a stepping stone. It's a mindset, right?
Yes.
So when you understand money, the way you get it, the way you grow it, the way you keep it and spend it, it's totally different. So there is such thing as earning money versus building wealth. And those are two different things. So when I started my entrepreneurship journey, I was a web developer. That was my first gig, right? I was charging $300 per
Mhm.
website, not knowing that it took me about 6 months with all the revisions, to make the website as beautiful as possible. And then I
Yep.
calculated it. My worth was 5 cents an hour with all the work that I did.
Whoa, 5 cents an hour. Wow, you
Yeah,
made me
congratulations, Chris.
so grateful.
And
So
then
the
oh,
higher level of consciousness kicked in, and you go, I am paying myself 5 cents an hour, or I'm getting paid 5 cents an hour. So what was the first emotion that came up for you when you got the aha moment that you were worth 5 cents, your time was worth 5 cents an hour?
I was like, oh, ouch, really?
Oh,
My heart. And then I got introduced to a bunch of entrepreneurs, hanging out with people who are earning way more than I was. And they were like, why don't you double it? And like, because you're comfortable with 300, doubling it I was like, double it, like 600. Oh my gosh, my heart started pumping. And then
ooh.
somebody bought it. I was like, oh, I
Oh,
am
I'm
10 cents
worth
an
10
hour now.
cents an hour now. Yoo-hoo!
And then my mentor said, double it. I was like, 600 to 1,200. Heart started beating again, uncomfortable, uncomfortable level. And then somebody bought it. Long story short,
Whoa.
it got all the way up to 18,000. And I was speaking on stage and I was crazy scared. Like, oh my gosh, $18,000 on stage. I probably could do it one-on-one, but on stage, what if nobody buys?
Yeah, what if
And
nobody buys, Chris? What happens?
I didn't know because people bought. They read. I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh my God, they have 18,000. Well, it's true that it doesn't mean that you don't have the 18,000. Somebody has 18,000. You see
Somebody
the
has
law of
18,000.
reciprocity? Give,
Yes.
receive. But you have to be willing to receive. What happened so even if you were scared, right? You were scared.
Yes. I was scared.
Like, nobody's going to buy. You see how
I
her
was
mind starts
shaking.
like, nobody's going to buy. Who's going to buy? Who has $18,000? It doesn't mean you don't have 18,000 at that moment, that nobody's going to buy that. That's really the reality of that.
But here's
Okay,
the part.
so what was the feeling?
It
Share
was
with us.
it was great because when people I was like, really? I just did it. Oh my gosh. I did it. And then I go, oh my gosh, this is something that I love and I could do it
Yep.
building a team and I don't
Yep.
need to stretch myself way too much and I get to serve them more. And I was like,
Yeah.
ding, to serve people better, I need more resources.
That's right.
So it's not about the money. It's like it's the thing, that worth, and like just
It's
knowing
what
that
you're
you can.
exchanging, what is valuable, what you have that they don't know or they don't have. That's really the money part. It's the exchange.
Yes.
This is very interesting. Okay, now I'm going to ask Vienna the same question. Let's see what happened to her. So Vienna and I were co-authors, or we are author cohorts at Dr. Angela Loria's when she was doing that book launches. We met there, right, in DC, Washington, DC. So we had a little history like 2 years ago. I think that was 2 years ago. And then, of course, we were scared. We were scared trying to launch a book. We're like, oh no, but what if they think we're an imposter trying to write something and we don't have a clue how this works? But we were fully supported, thank God, with Dr. Angela Loria's book team. So obviously it happened, and then we became best-selling authors. So woohoo! We did it again the second time.
Yeah, it was so fun.
It was so much fun. So Vienna, going back to the question on the money, right? So when you realized that you had a gift, a special something that people need and want, they actually want emotion healing. They want to get rid of those negative emotions. Because imagine, I mean, you found a lot of stories with clients that sometimes they've had it since they were 5 years old or 2 years old, or even in their mother's womb.
Yeah.
And when you release, doesn't even have to take years, but they've been carrying it for years. Oh my gosh. Like, what really led you to do emotion code processing? Like, why did you decide, like, okay, I don't want to be just a housewife anymore and taking care of my kids and the house and the husband? What made you decide, okay, I got to do something else with my life?
Perfect question. I'll do a little bit of history of the money stories that were happening in my family. Were about, you have to give money away. So we have a religious background, so obviously there's a value on giving. And then my family ended up going to work in another country, and I did the same for a couple of years, and I loved that. I loved being there. And along with that came this odd idea that if you're serving people in a developing country that don't have money, you certainly shouldn't look like you have money. That's going to be alienating. And then that's fine to be like those you're serving. That's nothing wrong with that. But we also, when I got married, we had the idea, we shouldn't even save money. We shouldn't plan for retirement. I mean, this was,
wow.
It was just a money story. So here I am at 60 going, how's that working out for me?
Yeah, don't save it all. That may ruin your life, right?
Right.
You're like, what happened?
You might not be in integrity with something, but
gosh.
Anyway, so that's a little bit of the history coming along the way. And then when my youngest child turned 15, there was some family pressure to, okay, maybe now you need to go get a full-time job. So I ended up getting to go to massage therapy school. So that was wonderful. So that was my first thing, is helping people find comfort in their bodies, where they've had pain for maybe 20 years. And actually it's just tension. They're just all balled up inside, and we release the tension from the muscles, and it's a shift in their whole being.
Yep.
And yet I had it in my mind that massage therapists make between, in our area, $60 and $100 an hour. So I certainly couldn't charge more than that. I'm certainly not more valuable than anybody else. And it's not, human beings are valuable because they're human beings, because they were born. We're not assigning value based on presence, so to speak. But it was, when compared to going every month for a massage and a chiropractor and a whatever, and the medical doctor and the physical, just everybody, and not finding relief. And then in one visit you find relief. Maybe that's worth
something.
If they've already spent $100,000 trying to solve this problem.
Yeah.
But I can only charge 60, really?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's when I kind of noticed that disconnect. And then Dr. Angela, inside my head, my front brain could go, that's really silly to not charge more. But the back brain, fight or flight, was, oh my gosh, you charge more and your friends are going to abandon you. Now you're getting too big for your britches, I just had all these odd stories going on. So I ended up going to visit a friend, my first midwife, and she introduced me to emotion code. And she, in 8 sessions, completely shifted my whole understanding of my value. And inside, I grew up from being a scared little girl, afraid of offending anybody ever. I had to make everybody happy all the time. Alias codependent, right?
Yeah.
And I just saw, oh my goodness, I get to be me. I get to grow up and be who I want to be. And I found my voice. So
Yay!
that's how it started. And then I said, I'm going to offer this to others. And COVID pushed me right on down the road. Now I can't see people face to face last year, right? And it's like, well,
Yeah,
emotion
there are
coaching
some
happened online. Right?
Yeah, the silver lining, right? It's like people were forced to learn about computers, right?
Yep.
So Chris, she has been a friend of the computer system for a long time. And do you notice that, Chris? You're actually more valuable now than ever because people need to learn that world. It's not like it's not like it's separate from us at this time because we are with it. We're working with computers, right? So as you notice, the three of us are different, right? Even in our own team. By the way, we can't be two the same because it's going to be so boring. We all have our own gifts and talents. And when you learn, like in human design, when you know your purpose, like I'm right angle cross of penetration. So I tell people, when you don't really want to know the truth, don't come see me.
Right.
You're not going to like what I'm about to say. I also have the Freak Genius channel, like this channel that I just know what it is, right? And I go to the heart of it. I don't even wrap it in a beautiful present. I just deliver it like it is. And people are like, no, that is not true. Okay, well, you can figure that out. 2 years later, they come back like, oh, yeah, I have the same problem. 2 years! Oh, my God, I could have just solved that then. So this is me. And Vienna, I forgot yours, but yours is about tension.
Mm-hmm.
And
right angle cross of tension.
What is it?
Right angle cross of tension.
Right. So if she doesn't create any tension in her life or in people's lives, right? You're not going to be, just think of a rubber band. Do you think a rubber band would work if you don't stretch it?
It's not fulfilling its function, for sure.
Hence, right? So she also found through her own healing journey, that she does have to have some relationship with money. Otherwise, it won't work. It just doesn't. It actually just goes away. It's like there's a hole in the bucket.
Right. And then one of the emotions that comes up for people is longing. And like, okay, that sounds okay. We can be longing for things. There's a kind of longing energy that in the negative emotion chart that Dr. Bradley Nelson put together for Emotion Code. That one is, I am longing for it so much that I am chasing it. And what happens when you chase something? Think of a cat.
Faster.
Let me get out of here. Like, I don't know what she wants, but she's chasing. We better run. But then the antidote to that in the emotional world is to take some deep breaths and decide, what is it that I really want? And that was hard for me too. I'd been so busy being what everybody else wanted. I didn't even know who I was. So that's been a journey too, right?
It is. And by the way, we have a journey. Yeah. So what physical symptoms were showing up for you because you had that?
The longing.
A longing, yeah.
Yeah. It was kind of a never quite feeling settled in my own skin. I was always needing to shift and change and do the chameleon thing to fit in. And so it happy day when I discover, I get to be me and people might like me for me. You know, everybody likes it when I do everything they want all the time without charge. You know, that's what's not to love. But except that it's not real. I'm not in alignment. I'm not living my full purpose, right? And so one of the things you taught us, it was you got to have your body, soul, spirit, and then there were about 5 things. Yeah. Everything all stacked up in a row. Think of the stones that you see stacked up on like massage therapy magazines.
Yeah.
If you set one of those somewhere else, the whole thing topples over, right? They have to be aligned. And then it's a beautiful thing and a functional thing, and it brings satisfaction, right? So that was just a kind of underlying angst, and I could not even recognize it until I began to step out of it.
Yeah.
And then I could look back and go, hey, that was a pretty empty place. It was always longing, always seeking. And then when I decided, another phrase for it is, love shows up when you do. When we decide to show up for ourselves, other people will value us more as well. It's like we teach people how to treat us, right?
Yep. So Chris, that relates love. That was your path and purpose.
Yeah.
I'm a right cross vessel of love.
Oh
I'm a big teddy bear.
So
Thank you,
Chris, how did you interpret that the first time you heard it? Because as you know, once you really live your purpose and who you are, life changes, right?
Yes.
So can you share with the group, like in a nutshell, how did your life change? Like, what was this? Are you okay sharing the shit show that happened? Just in general, from last year. I think you met me. Was it 2020? I can't even remember when we met again.
2014. Again, 2020.
Okay, so yeah.
So when I moved, we crossed again. I called you, Vivian. I need you. Oddly, you've been showing up in my dreams.
That was the aha moment. It's like, I don't know why you're showing up in my dream. I'm like, I don't know. I wasn't thinking about you. I really wasn't.
Yeah.
But you know how the universe calls. That's her universal call. So anyway, continue.
So during that time, I was like on the peak of my future, like building myself, having everything, a house, the car, the money, the business, the partnership, the relationship, everything. And I was burning myself way too thin, like burning the candle on both edges. So I was studying my MBA just to have the degree because I just like the piece of paper, and then working full time and doing business. I was like, okay, this is it. This is my life, and I love my life. And the next thing you know, I have this empty feeling inside, like nothing is enough. Like you've been chasing something, but when you get there, it's still not enough. So you have to chase something else. And then you have to, like there's no fulfillment or whatsoever. It's nice to have money in the bank, but you look at it as like, I think I need more, so there's that weird feeling. So I worked with Vivian. I was like, okay, there's something missing. There's something wrong. I don't know what to do. All the buttons that I know, all the skills that I have acquired is not working anymore. So when I worked with her, and then all of a sudden, everything just stopped working. Like I lost everything. Lost the house, lost the car, lost my relationship, walked out of my business. I was like, oh my God, I'm dying. I'm dead. And then I didn't know how to listen to who I am really, just like what the chameleon side, right? I've been pretending to be someone who I thought I wanted to be, but at the same time, it wasn't really me. So I had to step back, and it was the universe's blessing to just, God was like, hey, my child, I know you're struggling. Let me take every distraction away from you for the moment and leave you alone with me and have a conversation for months. At first, it was not comfortable.
Oh, and you lost your dad along the way.
Yes, I did.
When was that? What?
April last year.
Okay, yeah. So when her shit show was happening, you probably felt like, how you're in the middle, it's kind of in the movies and everything's swirling around you, and suddenly there's a death. Oh. So when your father passed away, you had to go home, right? You went back to the Philippines.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's what she was describing, like when the universe tapped her on the shoulder and says, because you were asking the universe, what am I supposed to do now? And what was the universe's response?
Oh, actually, it was more like, universe, I cannot move. I feel so much pain, both emotionally and mentally and spiritually. I'm drained. I don't want to move at all. Do not tell me what to do. You're too loud in my ears.
And what'd you
And
say?
then
What was the
I
response?
he's getting more louder, and I was like, okay, I'm listening now. You're too loud.
Mhm.
It I feel it in my heart. You're in my mind. It's like the only thing that I was thinking, that goes through my mind is like, get up, relax, get up, relax, breathe. And I was like, that's all I
Wow.
need to do for the day.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just stay in bed and just wallow in self-pity for a little bit. And then you go, no, not there, not the dark. Do not go to the dark side.
Mhm.
Listen. And then I started, thinking about, oh my gosh, every experiences that I had is a lesson. And that means I need to stick to who I am, because those are the things that I do not love. It's I'm great at it, but I don't love it. That's why I'm, stuck and blocked, right? Because I mean, willpower could just send you way, like on a certain distance, but it's not gonna push you through
Right.
things.
Yeah.
But then when this one and the heart started integrating, I was like, oh, I don't need to work 20 hours a day to earn money.
No,
Nope.
that
I
was a
just need to.
program from society,
Yeah.
because they needed employees. And so because they needed employees, we have been conditioned that you're supposed to work so many hours a day, so many hours a week in order to live. That's your passport to live. But that
Yes.
wasn't really, but think about how wealthy people live, right? They don't have a like, okay, 8 to 5. In fact, when we went to, was that Rome or Spain? And the ruins, we were in the ruins, and the historian was telling us how people lived and only in the spa. So they created spas, the spa, wellness centers and spa, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody was naked, nobody knew if you were rich or poor in the spas.
Oh.
You just kind of hang out there and you all look the same when you're naked. It's just bare skin. So everybody there is equal. So it's almost like they gave people permission to experience, right, okay, what does being in the spa feel like with the other people? Because we all look the same when we're naked.
Yes.
Kind of like when we were born, we didn't have clothes when we were born, right? Until our parents clothed us. Does that make sense? So
That makes sense.
money is a perception, and people think only the rich people can have it. Well, if you, in your thought, in your emotion, even if you don't feel like you can have it, well, it's not going to come to you because you don't think so, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like, oh no, I don't deserve that, so then let's just give it to someone who does. So that negative emotion, the undeserving, that's a very dangerous emotion in a way to have, because you're unconsciously pushing money away when it's supposed to be for you. Like, you all have a birthright to receive. But when you're conditioned, because your mind's telling your body, don't receive that because that's not for you, or you don't deserve that, that's like suicide right there.
Yeah. Ticket to suffering.
That's right. Suffering, sacrifice, like that
Yeah.
sounds good. But if you look at it though, if you have a lot of generational and ancestral lineage of slaves, right? Think about
Right.
that. How can you be so different than them? Because you had the tribe, right? So if you were a slave in previous lifetimes and then suddenly you're married to somebody rich, or maybe you found something else in your life to do and you're making more money now. So do you see how your feeling of, oh my God, what is my tribe gonna think of me? Because I have a different mindset when it comes to havingness of this resource.
Yes.
It's a completely different, it's gonna be a conflict for a lot of us when we have that. Like, I
Yeah.
came from a family of workers. So being an entrepreneur, I had to change my mindset.
Mhm.
Because employee and entrepreneur, right, Chris? It's a
Yep.
totally different way of living.
Yes.
Even the transition, there's like help there, right?
Yep.
That's where we help people. It's when I figured out my path and purpose, and then I realized it's different than my family's, I had to be honest with my soul. Like, if God wants me to do this, I cannot really think about the noise I'm hearing around me. I can't. Because that's not going to make me. If I'm not true to me, then I become like a chameleon, right? Like Vienna had experienced being a chameleon.
Right.
It's very tiring.
Yeah.
Exhausting.
Exhausting, right? So the two of you, can you share with me when you were trying to please someone else aside from you, what happened? What are the feelings, the thoughts? Like what happened? What was the result of that?
Two things for me. So first, it felt good because that's where significance comes in, right? But then when it's time for bed and to sleep, I could not sleep because it didn't feel right.
Mm.
And it took away, so that's where my chronic insomnia came in for years, actually almost a decade when I started the business, is I could not sleep at all. So I had to resort to different external things for me to sleep because that peace that I wanted wasn't there because of
Wow.
constantly pleasing and being someone else in front of other people just to build my goal was not something that I would recommend anyone to do.
It's an energy drain, in other words. It's
Yeah.
like you had a vampire, you're sleeping with a vampire, the vampire was inside of you and you didn't even know. In other words, a vampire has invaded your boundary. That's what it meant.
Mm.
But the thing is, it's a codependent relationship because now you have to feed the vampire all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even sustainable
That's
because
true.
you can't sleep. So you can't sleep, then you don't have energy, but literally somebody else is stealing your energy and you just don't know in the energetics of it, right? That's really what it is. It's like there's a vampire inside of you that when you're supposed to rest, you can't rest because they're still taking away from you when you're supposed to sleep. That's the only way we recharge physically is to sleep.
Yep.
And if your psychic, spiritual, and every plane is open during sleep, and somebody else is taking it away from you, how do you think you're going to make money? It is impossible by
Impossible.
any means of stretch of an imagination. I can tell you that.
Yes. And
You
it
just
doesn't matter where you
money
sleep.
leaks, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the money leak. Like, what were the evidence of your money leak, Chris, when that was happening?
Oh, everywhere. From relationships to emergencies to, oh my gosh, every single time it was like a disaster waiting to happen. It's like Murphy's Law. Anything that could go wrong will go wrong.
And that was every day for years.
For years, yes.
But it's funny. How come you didn't pick it up immediately?
Because here's the part, like when I thought my worth was, like claps and pat in the back and that significance, that ego, it was driving me. So it was a good fuel. But at the same time, I would tell myself, okay, I could just rest, have a vacation for a weekend. But then you go to a hotel or a vacation spot and try to relax. But when it comes to that bedtime, oh my gosh, it starts chattering.
Wow.
Cannot stop. So, yeah, no matter where you go, as long as you have that vampire inside you.
Thank you for sharing. Wow, that was deep. All right. Vienna, what was your story on that one?
Yeah, the cost for me in that is that I just completely lost myself. I didn't value myself, and so I didn't know who I was. I've tried to think back, was there ever a time I knew who I was? And I was born premature by 6 weeks, and 3 weeks in an incubator, and so I didn't have that bonding that often is kind of part of identity for me, right? And so I think I just felt lost, or I don't even know other words, but it was just, who am I? And what was I put here for? You know,
Mhm.
what's my role? And I remember just feeling desperate about that in my late teens, trying to figure out what it was. Sure, I had a strong belief I was born with a purpose, but I could not for the life of me figure it out. And so
Wow.
started getting clues in my 40s,
Mhm.
and then some good clarity mid to late 50s. And I, the interesting thing you asked earlier about emotions, and for people who have some of these issues and need to transition
Yeah.
out of not knowing themselves, employee mindset, you know, if they're being called to go to entrepreneur,
Mhm.
some of there's like, I'm going to show you the little, this is the, oh, get it to the middle. So you can
Emotion.
emotion code 60
Mhm.
emotions in a chart, and the bottom right corner, B6, so it sounds
Mhm.
like bingo, you know.
Right. Bingo.
I mean, but I land in B6 a lot, a lot, a lot. And I thought, isn't that odd? But I spoke to another practitioner of 20 years, and she says the first few years of her practice for herself and for her clients, there was a lot of B6. And here's the words in B6: pride, shame, shock, unworthy, worthless. And I don't get pride much. It's more shock, shame, unworthy, worthless. And
Wow.
you just have to clear that stuff out of the basement
Yeah.
before you can move on up and get to the higher troubling things. And I felt a little stuck yesterday as I'm making a shift. Again, I'm up leveling, and
Mhm.
I just didn't know what to do. So I went out at Vivian's suggestion, sat by a tree. I didn't even know if I could find a tree. I'm just like, Lord, show me a tree that's not in somebody's yard, so I'm not trespassing. Found a little park I didn't even know existed, you know. So found my,
Wow.
found my tree and had a wonderful time sitting by it. And a thing of, so then I'm doing emotion code. Okay, I feel so out of my element as I'm getting ready to up level. And so what's holding me back? So I did some emotion code, and the first thing up was shock. And it was
Wow.
many, many, many instances, just almost unbelievable. And a lot of it was inherited. So I wanted to say there's that. There are things that we inherit from our families genetically. And then
Mhm.
there are things that we may think we inherited, but actually we just, mom watched grandma, who watched her mother, and
Mhm.
then mom modeled that for me. And so those money stories can come down for centuries.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of like, it's easy to see in a place like, say, India, where there's a caste system,
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
it's such clear definition, like the lines. And obviously, you're born in this caste, you're going to stay in this caste, you're going to marry in this caste, and it's very invisible
It is.
here
Yeah.
in the
And
sense
that's
that we don't have to dress differently. We do sometimes dress
yeah.
differently, but it's this invisible ceiling that you kind of are bouncing off of. So even recently, I came up with shock, worthless, and shame again, and so now it's at a deeper layer as
Mhm.
I get ready to shift again in what I have the capacity to offer. Maybe what used to take 30 minutes will now take 20.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly. It will be shorter and shorter, and I think that's why when people work with me, and I have, you people call me money magnet activator. And by the way, the reason for that is in my human design, I have 3 money gates. How else can you activate money flow? And it's so interesting for me that in my early years, I was well provided for, and I thought everybody was that way, right? My mom and dad provided for us because my dad was working abroad, and money wasn't hard. And then you know what happens, right? The one that you needed to learn a lesson about, of course, that happens in life. And then you marry someone that had a lot of those issues when he was growing up. And I'm like, this is very interesting because I don't look at things that way. But part of it is the learning experience. Like, what do you learn when you meet someone, either you have a deep relationship with them, you marry them, or it's just a friend. Because this shows up, right? Like, for example, you go to a restaurant and then who's going to open their wallet to pay for the food, right?
Oh, yeah.
You have some people that are super, super generous, or it's just a habit that they just always pull out that payment plan, payment, so to speak. Like, okay, here we go. I'll take care of this, or I invited you, so I'll take care of this. And it's fascinating when life unfolds itself, because whatever usually your family is, you become like them. Yes? Because you want to be part of a tribe. But when you're different, right? Look at the screen. It says, what if your purpose is different from what your family wants you to have? It's a havingness issue, this money thing. Can you stand in your power and own it? So tell me, as you guys were growing up, and we have two different age segments here, when your perception of money is different than your family, what showed up in your household before? Like, if you think differently than them. Go ahead, Chris.
So I didn't realize this. I mean, I've been rebuilding my relationship with my mom since my dad died recently. So it's been really great. Okay. With me and my mom, I started opening up more and she started accepting me more. But looking back, what I wanted in life, my mom didn't understand it, or my family. In terms of nursing, when I dropped out of nursing and switched to psychology and business, she didn't understand it. So what happened was I had two identities. Wow. One with family and one with me and what I wanted, that goal. So for 30-something years, I was living two lives. I have two Facebook accounts, one with family, one with, friends and business.
Did you feel that split then? Did you feel split somewhere?
Always. I have to switch personalities every single time.
That must be tiring.
Very much. I didn't realize how tiring it was since last year when everything was gone. And I had to look at, I was like, oh, let me rebuild this time integrated.
Yeah.
One whole, one life, because I only have myself and I cannot have 1 or 2 or 3 lives living that. And I was like, oh, wow. Who taught me that?
That's me from my own stroke or TIA, right? Like literally I was feeling one side is like split from the other side. It's like, what's going on in my body? Like your body tells you what's happening. Your body is such an intelligent machine in a way, right?
Yes.
It's like, oh, why am I so disconnected, right? My divine masculine side, and that's usually father issues and things like that, right? Or the male dominant side of us and the female side.
Yeah.
So who is our example? Of course, our parents. So if they're disconnected and somehow not integrated, we become like that. Or we're trying to imitate it, but we can't be somebody because we have to be ourselves. Yes. Wow, that was awesome. How about you, Vienna? What was your, I guess, that defining moment is your family the same as you? Is their purpose similar to you? I mean, with all this insight that you've been discovering about who you are. Right. It's a discovery process, actually. It's so much fun.
And, for me, it's very interesting that you mentioned Facebook accounts, Chris. This is really, the journey began 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And so this is all still pretty fresh. It's not like I'm on the other side of it. I've got some great tools because I had a lot to work through. That's awesome.
Yay!
I still have 2 Facebook accounts. So yeah, I'm not fully integrated yet.
You're getting there, Vienna.
Don't worry, me too. I just forgot about the other one.
Right?
Yeah, so you don't pay attention or visit the other one anymore. I do have the same one, my married name, and they thought I divorced. And I'm like, no, I'm still married. But you know how, again, people's perception, right?
Yes.
Like, what happened? Nothing. I just changed. I was like,
Yeah.
and it's none of your business for me
Right.
to use whatever name I want to use at this point.
Exactly. One of my mentors told me there's nothing that you need to prove.
No.
And what was her other word? It's so hard for me to even remember because it's like, really? Justify, I think, you know. You don't have to do that. And I'm like, really? Really? I don't have to make everybody happy with all my decisions?
What?
Oh,
What a surprise.
yeah, surprise. A very happy surprise. It's not easy to implement, maybe, but
I know.
it's like that seed of me inside of me was like, maybe we can breathe. So.
Mm-hmm.
I like what Vienna said. It goes back to the previous episode from yesterday. So if you guys haven't watched that, it's living unapologetically.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
so true. Unapologetically. By the way, so I want to mention here, because we use a lot of human design. And as you know, I was a holistic physical therapist in the past. I actually treated a lot of cancer patients. You know, the one with swelling, lymphedema. Guess what? They have a lot of stagnation, right? Because they don't want to move somehow. I mean, there's a physical side of us, emotional side, the mental side, like the mindset. We have the psychological triggers, unfortunately or fortunately, because if you're really triggered, you should change it if you don't like it, right? But people like stay stuck too long, unfortunately, right? There's the psychic element. That just means other people's energies, which we kind of intertwine a lot. And spiritually, that's your path and purpose. And by the way, I want to share this slide with everyone. It's called, let me remove us for a second here so that we can be, there you go. So what I'm sharing with you is your prosperity key. So if you are a human being living in this beautiful experience, one of this is your prosperity key. This is how you would make money. And you're going to learn a lot of these things when you go to the Path and Purpose Blueprint class, because who doesn't want to know what they're supposed to do? So look at this. So I'm going to bring up Vienna and Chris again. So mine is actually the power or leadership, number 5. Vienna and Chris, so what was yours?
Mine is also power.
So you know how when I was younger, I had a different connotation of what power means, by the way. And power was scary for me.
Interesting.
In the beginning, right, when I was younger, I thought, I can't be too powerful because that might mean I'm arrogant and boastful. It just means I have to lead my life accordingly. In other words, I can't play the victim role because then money is just going to like bleed out of my bucket, so to speak. How about you, Chris? You remember what you were?
One, simplicity.
Oh, yours is simplicity. So for those of you that have that design Jupiter, like it's the point something, so hers is 0.1. If your life is complicated, it is time for you to change it because that is not going to make you money. I can tell you that. And the good news is all of us have our own destiny, right? This is how we make money. If you know that little piece of information and you just do it, isn't it your life is simpler? Like, in other words, every single day I have to show up that I have the power. I am the leader of my life, not the leader of anybody else's life, right? I can give them an insight on how to do it, but I can't really make them do it. Does that make sense?
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, because if you had a history of rebellion because your parents told you what to do, you probably are not going to hear me when I say that.
Yeah.
Right.
You're going to resist every single thing that I'm about to tell you, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way it works. And so We want to invite everyone because this Path and Purpose Blueprint is happening, right? And by the way, I'm going to give a fast action bonus today because I really feel like if you are not in purpose, I mean, you're wasting your time, you're wasting your energy, you're wasting your life. It's kind of sad. But that's,
Yes.
I mean, how many people do that? Have you guys seen anything like that?
I know a lot of people, including myself. At one point.
A lot of years.
A lot of years.
Oh my God. So we're actually going to start this today at 4 o'clock. Okay. Because if you want to know a little bit about your life, right? If you want to know a little bit of, oh, I really want to change what I'm doing here in my life, go to Path and Purpose Blueprint, right? It's on my website, viviandeguzman.com. You can look at that link. The class starts today and ends in July. And we're going to give 3 emotion code private sessions with Vienna and a money breakthrough session with me. So the fast action here is it is only a certain amount today, and this price changes tomorrow, literally, right? So if you want to pay double, good luck, because it's way beyond the value. What happens if you can collapse time and space reality, figure out what you need to be doing in your life, and be happy with it?
Yep. Then it's a quantum leap. It's not stepping up the stairs. It's a rocket to the top floor. It's unbelievable.
Oh, yeah. We forgot about that, right? Yeah, if you like a slow turtle type of movement, please do not enroll. This is not for the faint of heart.
No.
This is for warriors.
That's right. So
that want to win.
Yeah, you want to win in life. You want to feel good about what you're doing, because this is it. You only have one lifetime to live. Because what if God says, I'm sorry, but you can't go back for another like 200 years? Well, what are you going to do, right?
So working with Vivian the past year, even, throughout my ups and downs and everything, what I learned the most is, yes, money will come to you no matter what, because money is energy. But there is a difference between having enough money and surviving. So if you constantly have that churn and just struggling, because you're going to have money no matter what. I mean, I doubt that you would let yourself go way down deep, but money's there. But there's a difference between active income and building wealth and having, like I have worked less in the past year, but I actually have more savings at this moment than I've ever was, even if I was charging $18,000 and having $60,000 days, because I've learned the way to live my purpose and follow my path and stick there. As simple as possible.
Simple. I mean, if you only know 2 information for Chris, it's just living a simple life, right? Not worrying about everything else, and just stay in love. Like, she has to love the people she works with. She has to love her day. She has to love her food. Literally, that's what she needs to do. If she doesn't, well, the money will just bleed out. So you see how simple that was? Even for Vienna, if she's like relaxing too much, not enough tension, she doesn't put tension in herself or tension in her projects, it's not going to work. And even for me, if I don't tell you the truth and just penetrate to the heart of your problem, I am not doing my job. So if you like to dance around because you're like, no, I can't do that yet. I can't let go of that relationship. I had a client like that. It's like, no, I can't leave that guy. But he's not good for you. Okay, then if you want to keep this pain, you can have it. Literally, that's what I said to her. You can have it. And I had to discharge her. I didn't know I was doing this even in my physical therapy days, because she was trying to control her life, even if the person no longer fits her, but she didn't want to feel the emotional pain of the divorce or the letting go. She kept her shoulder pain. So yeah, she didn't come back. And unfortunately, we suffered too much, right?
Yep.
Why? Is your life not worth living? I mean, I'm going to leave you with that.
Right? Vivian, I realized I started I said, let me tell you what the antidote is to
Yes.
that longing, grabbing. So if I can close with that, I would like
Sure.
to not leave people hanging.
Okay.
And it's to get in touch with what you love. So that's part of what we get with the Path and Purpose Blueprint, right? We really get to dig in and meet ourselves, especially if we can clear some of those trapped emotions, and then go take a walk in nature, even if it's in your mind. What's your favorite place on earth? And walk down that path in the mindset of great gratitude, because that which you desired to do, so making money the way you love, that which you desired has already happened. And so you do a little soliloquy of, I just had the best week ever. I got to serve 12 clients and their lives are totally revolutionized. They are set free now to live their path and purpose. And I have the resources I need to live my life. This has been the best week ever.
Awesome.
And then when we're longing and chasing, it runs away. But when we get into that place of gratitude and use past tense like it's already done, then it easily comes to you. So
yes.
that's
Wow.
the antidote. And so come and learn.
So yeah, we would love to have you tonight, because we start really digging in your human design tonight. At 4 p.m. is when we start Pacific time. All right. I'll see you guys next week. Stay tuned
See
for
you.
another great episode.
Link below.
All righty. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.